since the last summer, we've been working on quite a few different features. I'm just showing you probably 3 main ones, especially ones that our customers more likely to see and know about, and probably share with others. So really the 3 big things that we've done recently. The first one is what we call demand spikes. So it's the ability, before we were just visualizing the network, seeing how it looked. It looked very pretty and nice, but you had very limited ways that you could interact with the network. So what we've done now is allowed users to go into the network and start increasing the demand at any junction or location within the network. So you can see this nice little pretty picture to the left here. You can select that junction. You just got a nice slider, drag it across, and as you do that, the model will recalculate and figure out, okay, what is the impact as you do this? So the most obvious one is the reduction in pressure as the demand increases, but you'll also see the flows moving around, changing, the velocities going higher. So this is a much simpler way to interact with the model compared to traditional tools, and it can be used for a wide variety of different what-if scenarios. So obvious ones are firefighting purposes, so hydrant capacities. We could look at for flushing, for cleaning the water mains, but for new developments, anything that really requires that increase in demand. So that one's been a pretty big hit, and I think later on maybe we'll be looking at how many people you've been using it. But yeah, so that's the first one that came through. The next one is what we're calling Watermain Shutdowns, and this is the very first iteration of it. So previously in Qatium, you could click a pipe and it would just close a section of pipe, which isn't a realistic representation of how an operator would be out in the field and isolating sections. If a operator wanted to close down a section of main to do repairs or changes, they'd have to find multiple valves, close them off, and close the section. So now within Qatium, if your model supports it and includes the isolation valves, when you click on a water main and do close, it will actually trace out to the individual valves, highlight which valves have to be closed, and then close that entire section down, like as if it was in real life. There are some future enhancements we're going to do with this as well, which we'll talk later, to make it even more realistic, that you can look at backfeeds, which customers are impacted as well. And finally, the last really big change that we did is we added a demo model into Qatium. So one of the things we found was, people get really hyped, they get very excited when they see all the social media posts. They jump in, sign in because we make it so easy, and then they go, oh, I don't have a model, I don't have GIS, can I upload it? What am I doing? I'm all suddenly stuck on this blank screen. And we saw a large drop off of users, and it was very difficult to get them back. So now when they come in, we've actually got a model ready, sitting there ready for them to start going into it. So if they've got their own, they can upload it. If they've got security concerns and they have to go back and check, doesn't matter. They can get in and start playing with the application and understanding what's going on. We can also make sure that model is compatible with all the latest features and have everything in there. So when you jump in, you've got this model, you can get in and you can start trying it. And we're hoping that also allows, users who traditionally wouldn't have hydraulic models also be able to access the tool. So operators, they don't go, oh, I've got to ask this person who's got to send back. They can start getting them straight away. Nusha?
Just a quick question. Do we know when people stop in their journey using Qatium? Do you sort of track, okay, this person signed in, went through 2 layers and stopped? This person, like, it will be good to know sort of when we lose people as part of their process.
Yeah, so we do, and David may be better at this. We do track those metrics. So maybe I'll jump to David.
Yes. So we can track like the customer journey, if I may say so. We haven't really found a critical moment where people just drop off. Our guess by this kind of behavior, because we've seen people dropping off at different points after using different features, is not really like, okay, there's one thing that they didn't find useful, and kind of like going back to the no that you mentioned earlier. I think it's more of a, okay, well, I've seen the application and it does provide some value, maybe not, but maybe it's not to them, so we're not targeting the right person. Or maybe it's actually, well, it does work, but I'm in design, so it doesn't have sufficient value to me. I think it's just the overall value. I think, right now we just added demand spike maybe a month ago, 6 weeks. We just added Watermain Shutdown, and we keep on improving it, and hopefully it will make Qatium stickier, for lack of a better word. But that so far until now, we haven't really seen a particular path that ended up in the customer dropping.
Pilar?
I think they stop using because if they don't upload live data, it's something that they have a hydraulic model, but it's something static. That is something that you use from time to time. It's not something that you are using in a utility every day if you don't have live data. So if they upload this live data, it's something that they are going to use much more because they are going to be able to see in Qatium all the information provided by sensors. I think this can be the reason.
It is definitely like one of the things that we think will help. There's going to be lots of different avenues and different reasons why people use the model, and wanting a digital twin with live data for verification and confirmation, or even having it more representative of real life is important. And actually on the next slide I'll show you, we are targeting that. I think there are still some uses of maybe static models that are useful, and we're seeing that one user recently RPS, it's like the operators, the shutdowns, and the flushing can still be done with static models. So giving them access to those tools is still useful. We don't think it's ever going to be one single issue. I'm sure you know that as well. But the live data is going to be a big piece of it as well. And I do agree.
Yes, I think the more live data they upload, the more engagement there's going to be.
There is also a large commitment on their behalf to get to that stage as well, to get all the sign-offs to be able to get them to transferring a constant stream of live data would also show a large commitment on their part, which would then naturally suggest that they're in more demand and need to go through that point. So, as we get more of those customers in, it's naturally going to be they're the ones who will use it more often because they are so much more invested in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So just quickly, product updates, no pretty pictures here, but just some key things we're working on right now. One of the big things we're going to look at adding soon is sharing networks. So currently, when you upload a network, it's just tied to your individual account. We want to be able to share in two different mechanisms. So one is team-based sharing. So you could think of it almost like a shared workspace for an entire organization or group, so that you can upload and control one model for an entire organization. So if you're making updates or changes, everyone can see them and you can control it some way. It's an obvious win to be able to expand it out. So you have one power user who can then invite many people within their organization and boost engagement. The second type of sharing is one-to-one sharing. So say if you're a consultant and you want to share with utility or you want to share with another person, we're also hoping that helps the viral nature of it as well, where you go, hey, I've got this really nice model, I want to give you an update, I'll show you something as well that isn't a shared base in a folder. The next big thing we'll also look is scenario management. And when we talk about scenario management, it's more about persisting changes. So if you make a couple of modifications like closing valves or increasing demand, you want to be able to come back to that and show that to somebody later. So being able to save the changes you've made, almost like in a tree or branch sort of system, so that if you've got different options, you can view them with other people. We'll start small, but we'll work that one up. There will be a lot of work involved in that piece. Much pillar, some enhancements to the real-time models, which are important. So currently, it's all read-only. So we bring in live data, it verifies the model, says this is really great, but it doesn't update or change the model. So taking this live data to make it a true digital twin, you need to make sure the pumps and valves are set correctly as they were on that day that you're trying to replicate, or at the current time. You've also got to update demands and demand profiles. So we're going to start on that journey to update all those things to make us have a true digital twin. A couple other little minor tweaks that are also important, allowing people to operate individual components like individual valves. And previously I showed you we could automatically select all the valves, but there are some use cases where you want to close single valves to do things like opening backfeeds in emergencies, to allow you to do unidirectional flushing or, DMA design. These are all feedback we've got from users saying, well, we like this tool, but this is our specific use cases. So adding a small feature like that can open the door wide. And finally, demand spikes in multiple locations. There are some more larger, more advanced operational scenarios where that's needed. Relatively small change, but these are the things that are planned to work on, I guess, starting from now over the next couple of months.
Qatium.